Hey Facebook users, the topic I wanted to focus on today was technology, its integration, and the impact that it has on a practice. If you want to go fast, you'll go on your own. When it comes to technology, if you want to go far, you go together. So that's really the integration we want to talk about. My name's Mike Fillmore. I'm a partner marketing manager with Dentrix. This is Erik Oh. He's CEO and president of EMPATHIQ, one of our Dentrix connected partners. So Erik, when we started talking about this stuff before, we really started talking about it from, again, those layers of the practice, right? Mm-hmm. You have your patients at the top, you have your dentists and your staff, you have business and clinical processes they have to put in place to make things happen,
right.
And then you've got your technology as a base.
Uh-huh.
And given that some of the technology that you have, and we know that anything that affects your technology affects all the other layers of your practice, straight up to your patient experience. Right. So, given what you do, especially around patient reviews and some of the things you've seen in dentistry, I wanted to make sure we had some time to talk a little bit about the patient experience from the patient's perspective, as well as the dentist. And I know you've seen a little bit of that in what you do with customers.
Yeah, absolutely. So, in fact, that's when I was thinking about the branding of our company. It was really about patient experience. That's why I started thinking about it, because and everything from healthcare to dentistry, it's all about patient experience these days. And so we literally have found that the technology can super impact the actual experience of the patient. So yeah, I absolutely agree with you.
Awesome. So when dentists ask us, and I want to see if that's the same experience you've had, dentists ask us, why do I need to have all of this technology in place? Do I need to really buy all of this technology just to have a great patient experience? And we usually have to tell them, it's not about getting technology that will give you a great patient experience. It's about purchasing the right technology with a patient experience already in mind, right? And if they do that, then you'll know the pieces of technology you need to grab to go put together that great patient experience. Do you typically see, especially with the review stuff that you do for patients, dental patients, that patients can be affected by things other than dentistry?
Absolutely. I mean, the patient experience comes down to everything. In fact, that's what drives these days, because we as patients and consumers, we have the ability, we have more control. So when you have things like digital, social, just the online presence, all that now, believe it or not, and it's something that we just have to accept, it impacts the ability for a practice to grow. So for example, 80% of patients these days jump online to make a decision about who they're going to go for their dentist. If you're not relevant online, and what I mean by relevant is these days the way that the Google search engines operate, it's not about just SEO anymore. SEO was the almost the way of the past. Now it's about distance, relevance, and provenance. And so if you don't have reviews, you're not relevant. If you don't have reviews in the last 30 days, you're not relevant. So a patient's experience is they're going online, they're doing a search, general dentistry, Palo Alto, California, and if you don't have the reviews, you don't populate. So you may, as a dentist, want more patients so you can serve the patient experience, but if you don't respond to what they're doing online, they're never going to have a patient experience in your practice. And so it's just the realities of technology these days.
Absolutely. We see patient consumerism as one of those major shifts in the market that dentists kind of don't know, some dentists don't know how to prepare for, right?
Right.
There's, we know that there are insurance issues and reimbursement issues, but patient consumerism's been an interesting topic, I think, here, because patients have adopted, your regular consumer, your smartphone, right?
Yeah.
Patients have adopted technology the quickest. They'll buy the new phone when it comes out, they'll try that new app, and it's just a very quickly changing market. And sometimes dentists aren't sure, and dental practices aren't sure how to keep up.
Right.
It'd be interesting to talk about any advice you have for them, especially as we integrate here, right, and try to do this together, about how do they prepare for a patient that wants more data and more information and up-to-date technology.
Yeah, so I think, so one of the first things that I see is just dentistry, in my opinion, just needs to, and this is all of healthcare in general, just needs to come to accept the fact that that patients really are, it's turned into patient consumerism. Really, that's what it is. It's There's billions of dollars of venture capital money, investor money that are going into all these technology companies. And if you think about it from that perspective, there are billions of dollars worth of capital going to try to create technology to change the consumer or change the patient's behavior so that they adopt the technology to find your practice. So if you think about it from that perspective, it changes kind of how you really view the patient's experience, because now you have the big companies of the world like the ZocDocs, the Better Doctors, the Yelps, the Google, the Facebooks. They're populating online and they're driving patient behavior and experience to find their sites. So right now, there's 80% of the patients, like I mentioned before, are searching online to make their healthcare decisions. They're 5 times more likely to get a call to action on a third-party site like Yelp, Google, Facebook, Vitals. So if you consider from that perspective, now that whole experience is being driven that way, and the technology is what, and the way I look at it is if I can help a dentist harness that type of behavior, I am now starting to drive their patient engagement, their patient acquisition, and overall helping them understand. And what we're doing a lot of, and a lot of these data companies are doing this, they're identifying the data from the patient behavior, from the patient reviews, which is what we do. We compile that data, and with things like machine learning, natural language processing, we now can analyze that data, and we can almost go to you and tell you, you know what, the reason why you're losing business is we've seen a drop to 3 stars. And that 3 stars equates to this type of survey response, the social sentiment is saying this, and at the end of the day, the reason why you're losing patients is because they don't like your parking, or your office is too cold, or the ones that are getting more business are the ones that just say, hey, how are you doing? Just a nice little, and we can identify a lot of that through the data that we're gathering through this technology. And so it's really important to understand that there's power in leveraging this information.
Data can help you clinically as well as from a business perspective, right?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, a lot of times we find that the patient experience improves and the clinical outcomes improve as the patient has a better experience, because they're now more humble, they're willing to accept your information, they're willing to adhere to what you're saying, their whole behavior modifies based upon what you're telling because they now trust you, they now like you. And it comes down to this whole interaction between humans, just understanding each other. Now they're more able and willing to listen to you.
And if you have more time to spend with the patient, you have better chance to interact with them
and
anyway.
It's quality time. It's quality time.
Right. Allow the technology to build you an experience, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And that's the thing, is that from our perspective, at the end of the day, at least at every product meeting we have or strategy session, the last question we always ask is, how is this going to impact the patient? So even though we're driven by making sure we have revenues and we're trying to keep our company alive and doing all these things to generate revenue, but at the end of the day, if we're not taking care of the patient, or the technology isn't built to take care of the patient, then we're not doing our job. And so the question always is what can we do to help the patient?
Great. Well, Erik, I think that's exactly what we want to talk about today. I appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Coming down and seeing us.
Yeah, no problem. It's a pleasure.
Thanks everybody for joining us.